Hi there. Let's begin our desk stretches today. We're going to focus on lower arms, so a little bit of elbow, a little bit of wrist, some forearm muscle in between. So to begin, let's start sitting up nice and tall. And if you have the space, let's interlock the fingers and stretch the palms out long in front of you, straightening through the arms. And then if it feels good, take a nice big breath in and reach all the way up over your head. And then exhale, let your hands come apart and coming just back down. Might feel good to sweep the arms wide if you have the space. And let's do that a few more times. So palms come together, stretching away from you. Maybe even tuck your chin and round your back. Allow these shoulder blades to round forward. Nice big inhale, reach up, straighten up through the spine. Palms still turning to face up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, letting the hands come down. You can swing them wide or keep them tucked into the body. Good. Nice big inhale, palms come together. Exhale, chin tucks in, round the shoulders. Shoulder blades come apart, push away. Inhale, straightening all the way up, palms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, and swim down. Good. If you have the space, you're going to bring your bum a little bit more forward on your chair, just so that there's a little bit of space in behind. Let's reach both of our arms back. Let's do right arm resting on the low back, left arm coming to reach the other side. So forearms just touching. Take a moment, pick those shoulders up, roll them on your back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Try not to let the breastbone and the ribs flare forward, so push that back. And we want to feel a little bit of opening through the front of the chest. Noticing how it feels. Maybe just for a moment we lift our forearms away from the back. It's not a big movement, but notice how it changes the muscle activation. And release, let your arms come down. Do a couple shoulder rolls backwards. Same thing, this time the left hand resting on the back, the right arm resting on the left. Pick up those shoulders, roll them, squeeze them on the back, tuck the lower ribs in. Notice what you feel. Slight difference with the opposition of hands. And then as we're ready, lifting just an inch or two away from the body. Notice how it changes the effort. A little bit of a stretch through the front of the body. Relax, coming down. Roll those shoulders backwards. Good. Next up, let's stretch our arms all the way long in front of us. Palms are up towards the ceiling. And just take a moment from here, curl your fingertips in, then bending at the elbows, come to bring towards. And with our elbows, let's just draw a nice big circle out wide, coming down towards the ribs, coming out in front of you, staying here, straightening through the arms. And then very last, the wrists come long. Let's do that twice more. Fingertips come in, then the elbows, fingers coming towards the shoulders or resting to touch. Nice big circles as you open out to the side. Coming in towards the midline when the elbows get to 90. Arms start to lengthen and wrists come last. One more time. Curling inwards. Try to move like you're going through molasses, nice and slow, nice and intentional. I want to feel a little bit of muscle engagement and resistance as we go. Good. Dropping down. Let's take a moment and do a little bit of movement for our elbows. So coming like you're serving a platter, tuck those elbows right in at the midline, palms face up. I'm going to have my hands a little bit higher than 90 degrees just so it's easier for you to see. As you're ready, inhale, let's rotate, open. And exhale into the midline. Inhale to open. Exhale into the midline. One more. Inhaling, open. Into the midline. Good. From here, drop your palms all the way down, allowing the elbows to reach long. And I know you can't see me, but we're going to turn the palms so that they're facing behind you. Now bring the back of the hand, bending at the elbow, up towards the hands. Keeping your hand in this position, coming all the way down, Turning palms face forward. And then bending up towards the elbows. Switch your palm direction. Coming down with control, feeling a little bit of engagement through the front of the arms. Keeping the palms facing away. Bending through the elbows. Coming up. Palms flip. Nice and slow. Coming down. Palms flip. Let's change it here. I want you to extend a little bit through the arms so the hands come behind you, and then taking a nice big bend, reaching your hands behind your back, stretching long, back of the hands coming up towards the front of the arm. Turn your palms, straighten long, bring that shoulder just a little bit into extension. Palms stay facing forward this time. And you won't be able to bend here, so palms face backwards actually, and then bending in. Switch the direction so that the opposite hand is closer to your back. Stretching long. Let's do palms forward to come back up. Good. Take a moment. Stretch those arms out, wiggle them out. Notice what you feel. And when we're stuck in this little T-Rex position, typing a lot, the back of our forearms can get quite tight. So let's just take a moment and just do a little bit of gentle squeezing. This shouldn't be too uncomfortable. And just picking up the muscle and just lifting, pulling up just slightly with a comfortable grab. Noticing how it feels. Also helps us to warm up that tissue a little bit. Good, and then let's switch to the other side. Same thing, just sort of cupping my muscle, squeezing it together, lifting just slightly. Noticing the difference in tone from left to right. If you're a mouser, you might notice a big difference because there's a big difference in how you use your arm in the day. Good. And then we'll take a moment and do a little bit of stretching through the forearm. So I'll turn to my side so you can see a little bit easier. Doesn't matter which hand, we'll do both. You're going to extend the forearm all the way long. Let's start with palm down to stretch those muscles we were just squeezing. Bending at the wrist. And we're going to gently apply a little bit of overpressure. You should feel that in the top of your wrist. Now, if you're double jointed like me, this might be what your wrist looks like with the eye of the elbow facing up, or sorry, what your arm looks like. So you want to turn the eye of the elbow in towards the midline of the body. That helps keep this nicer line through here. And then coming back to notice this hand down here, I want you to take your hand that's bent, and with 30% of your strength, you're going to try to lift your hand. So you're actively pushing in. Notice how this engagement might change the sensation through the top of the arm. So keep pushing. And then relax. And as you relax, does it allow you to deepen the stretch a bit more, or does it change the sensation in the upper forearm? So just noticing that we're relaxed now. There's no effort in that hand. We're just allowing that stretch to reset those mechanoreceptors in the arm. Good. Release. Just do a couple circles with your wrist. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side of the forearm. So same arm, this time palm up. We're going to pull our fingers back into extension towards us. And we're going to, with our other hand, apply a bit of an overpressure so that we can feel it through the inside part of our arm. Once again, if you're double jointed like me, see this locking out, we want to avoid that. We want to bring a tiny micro bend into the arm. If that's happening, notice if it changes your sensation. And just noticing what you feel. We're going to do that contract, relax again. So this bottom hand with 30% of your strength is trying to lift up so the arm is nice flat, and you're going to engage that. Now the other hand is not going to let it move, so you're going to feel a little bit of force. You might feel those muscles of the forearm firing. Notice what you feel. And then relax that effort, and it's a subtle move, but you might see that I was able to add a deeper stretch, was able to pull that forearm in a bit more. I can definitely feel it down near my watch strap a bit more. So I'm just noticing that information and holding the stretch. Good. Release. Do a couple wrist circles. Good. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to face you just for a different perspective this time. Let's start other arm, stretching out nice and long. fingertips pointing down. Want to make sure that eye of the elbow is pointing into the midline, and we're applying a slight overpressure. Noticing how it feels here. What you feel through the sides. No two arms are made quite alike. We know there's quite a different use in a desk job with that mousing hand, so depending if you used your dominant hand to stretch first or second, this may be more or less intense. Let's do that overpressure. So this bottom hand is trying to lift with 30% of its strength. That other hand is just keeping it in place. Noticing how it feels. And then release the effort and maybe apply slight more overpressure. Notice what that changes to that sensation of stretch through the top of the arm. Check in with your breathing. Sometimes the forearms can be a really intense feeling, and so we might hold our breath. That's usually a cue to back off a little, maybe to reduce the intensity but increase the frequency of these stretches. Good. Relax, do a couple circles, get a little blood flow back in there. And then arm extends long, palm coming down, elbow up towards the ceiling. Feeling that stretch up through the top of the arm, and adjust as needed with that double jointedness if you're like me. Feeling the stretching here. Good, and then with 30% of our strength, our hand is going to try to lift up. And so bringing that resistance in, notice how the muscles through the top of the forearm is really starting to fire. And relax, see if you can bring it into a bit of an overstretch, helping to reset the length in these muscles. And holding here for a few more seconds. Good, relax. Let's take both wrists and just do some simple arm circles. Nice and slowly, maybe noticing some crunchies. Go the other direction. Okay, we'll also do some articular rotations for the wrists. So, take one hand out in front of you, palm up, and just hold on to the middle of your forearm. This is because it's really easy to want to use our elbow to cheat. We want to try to keep, that's the operative word. We want to try to keep the movement at the wrist. So, start by pulling your fingers down towards the floor. Then we're going to tilt towards the pinky side. Then we're going to lift up, bringing your hand through center, tilting over to the thumb side, not as much of a movement, and then bringing the hand back down. So it's a really slow circle. Tilt towards the pinky side, coming up through center, bringing your hand totally parallel, and then over towards the thumb side as you come back down. And this time we're going to go towards the thumb side. So starting from neutral, drop the fingers down, roll over to the thumb side, start to lift through center, bringing the fingers all the way up towards the ceiling, coming over to the pinky side, start to reach your hand back. Good. One more in this direction, over towards the thumb side, starting to lift the pinky through the center. Notice that arm wanting to help that rotational movement, pushing pinky over all the way to the side and start to come back into wrist extension. Good. Shake your fingers out, flipping your grip, palm up, other hand. Let's start by going down into extension first, leaning over towards the pinky side, reaching all the way up, bending at the wrist, coming towards you or up towards the ceiling. Over towards the thumb side, trying to stretch back down towards the desk or the floor, and coming through center, nice and slow. One more in this direction, noticing maybe different sensations as you move through the range, one side to the other. Good, coming back into center, back into neutral. Let's go the other way. So dropping back into extension, leaning over towards the thumb side, coming through center, bending at the wrist, really bringing the fingers up, kind of back towards the body, leaning over to the pinky side, and coming down, reaching back behind you, And just notice those sticky spots where the elbow wants to move for you, where the shoulder wants to get involved, coming up towards the ceiling. It's good to notice where our body's natural land of compensation is. Good. Let it go. We'll just do one more little exercise. We will take our thumbs, tuck them in, curl our hands, and then bring your fists towards your shoulders. Lift your elbows all the way up 90 degrees, and then like you're showing off at the gun show, I want you to engage those biceps, and like you're fighting through molasses, we're gonna slow motion extend our arms out to the side. Really notice if you can feel it in the back of those forearms. Stretching your hands all the way long, and then in slow motion, bending back in until your hands are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. And I want you to rotate your hands all the way out. Notice what that changes. And same thing, holding that tension, start to straighten the arms. Reaching down. Good. Coming all the way back up. Let's suck those elbows right in front of us. And same thing. Stretching your arms all the way along, knuckles pointing down as the elbows straighten. And then rotate your hands coming up. Keep those fists balled in, coming forward like you're trying to gently knuckle your own shoulders. Fingers roll out and stretch all the way long. And then shake it out. Good. Do a couple wrist rolls. And with that, we're done for today.